What's the secret to making sequence-based ambient music? Well, simple sequences bring great results. The combination of simple waveforms and proper filtering techniques across the entire frequency spectrum, that's what makes good sequence-based ambient. So in today's video, we're gonna go over a full track walkthrough, hopefully in under 30 minutes, so you guys can see exactly how I make this style of ambient music. It involves simple layering techniques, proper filtering, and all kinds of little tricks that you might not have known before. So in today's video, I'm gonna show you guys exactly how to make some good quality sequence-based ambient. So if you like this kind of video, make sure you smash that like button on the way in, subscribe to the channel if you guys feel called to do so, and let's get into some sequence-based ambient. All right, so here we are inside of Ableton Live 11. Now, the goal of today's video is to make some sequence-based ambient and to show you guys some of the tricks that I use to make this style of music. To stay on track, I have a goal in mind of under 30 minutes, so hopefully we can get this done. And I do have a syllabus here of 6 things that I want to go over when talking about sequence-based ambient. All right, the first thing is simple sequences bring great results, especially with delay. Now, what do I mean by that? If you only use like 3 or 4 notes, the best thing to do is to keep things simple as you start to build up layers. Because if you build too many notes and too many layers on top of each other, it gets really crazy really quickly, all right? So using simple sequences often brings great results when trying to add more layers on top of each other, all right? The second thing is using simple waveforms or combinations of 2 waveforms is sometimes all you need for a good pluck, all right? So for example, just by using sawtooths or using a sawtooth and a sine, which is one of my favorite simple combinations, you can get some really great plucks going with just the proper use of filtering without too much fuss about, oh, am I using the right waveform or using some crazy wavetable in Vital, all right? So just using simple waveforms or combinations of the 2. The third thing is proper use of filtering and filter envelopes, all right? So we're gonna talk about filtering here and then also the filter envelope. If you don't know what a filter envelope is, we're going to learn how to use one today. So yeah, so proper use of filtering. That brings me to point number 4 is that layering sequences by octave range and frequency. Okay, this is very important. So we don't want to crowd too much of the frequency spectrum in one spot just by putting all of our sequences there. Okay, so we're going to try to spread things out across the entire octave range and the entire frequency spectrum when we layer our sequences. All right, point number 5 is using sequences as textural elements themselves. Now, it's no secret that I use a really big reverb on most of my ambient music. It's got a 55-second decay time. I mean, it's huge, right? So if you start adding these things into that reverb tank, it's gonna start building up very quickly, all right? So we're gonna use our sequences as texture elements, trying to stay away from pads. I mentioned this on a previous video that I've been sort of moving away from starting with pads as a textural element to start my track and moving towards making sequences if that's the intention of the track when I want to finish, all right? So, number 6, building up tension by stripping away layers and then bringing them back. All right, so we're building up these tension points by stripping away these layers and then we're gonna bring them back in the end. All right, so here we are inside of Ableton Live 11. Now, tempo is important. So we are composing today at 82 beats per minute. And we have 6 different MIDI tracks to start layering things on top of each other. Now there's a bunch of different ways that you can go about sequencing in any DAW, okay? I'm just gonna make it clear that I'm only gonna use a couple different sequencers today. There's all kinds of options out there. There's generative stuff, there's MIDI noose, there's all kinds of things, all right? So today we're just gonna keep it simple by sticking to a couple different sequencers, okay? So, our sequencer of choice today is going to be the Euclidean Sequencer Pro. Now, this is a Max for Live device. Very simple. There are lots of Euclidean sequencers out there, but we are going to keep this one sort of like in our sights because it's really easy to use and it's simple to get simple sequences, all right? So let's pick a key on the keyboard. Let's pick D minor. Okay, we'll pick D minor, for example. And we're going to load up a 4-step and 4-event sequence in D minor. So we're gonna hit the scale button and hit D and minor, okay? So now what we have is we have a simple like arpeggio, like a simple 4-note arpeggio, okay? Now this isn't gonna make any noise until I add a synthesizer to it. Lately, my synthesizer of choice for this style of music has been Dune 3. Now, even if you don't own Dune 3, a lot of the same things that I'm going to talk about here apply. Okay, so let's just go ahead and initialize this patch. And it starts off with your default sawtooth waveform. Now, like I said, we're in 82 beats per minute. So as soon as I hit play, we're gonna hear these 4 notes playing at full sustain at 82 beats per minute. Here we go. All right, and I'm just gonna resync that and then it's gonna start again. All right. Now to save ourselves the sanity, we're going to just drag the filter down. And now what we hear is just a simple filtered sawtooth. Okay, so I'm going to put this into the synth bus and start messing around with the filter. All right, now that sounds cool on its own. I mean, one of the great things about the synthesizer is, of course, the filter design. It is brilliant through and through. I'm loving the synth more and more every time I use it. I'm actually addicted to it. It's just a great sounding synthesizer that I highly recommend that you either check out or find something that's equivalent to this as far as design goes, because it's just that good. So, okay, when you hear me moving the low pass filter up and down, you can hear what we're kind of gonna move towards, which is filtering with an LFO on this low pass filter. Now, if I take the sustain all the way down on the amp envelope and give it a little bit of release and just leave that decay where it is, you're gonna get all of a sudden a plucky sound. Listen to this. See, now you have a nice tail on your amp because of the decay. We've taken the sustain all the way out. So you can hear the difference in sound between full sustain and not full sustain. And now we're going to add what's called the filter envelope. Now the filter envelope, like in Vital or like any other synthesizer, is a separate envelope to control the filter in a really cool and unique way that allows it to open up. So I'm going to increase the envelope amount to around 30%, and you're gonna hear this beautiful texture come out. See? So every time that pluck happens, it's opening the filter, open and close, and you're getting the beautiful sound of that filter. Now, without adding any internal effects from on the synth patch, if I start adding my own reverb and delay on here, you're gonna hear it's like going from, you know, the launch pad to the outer atmosphere. Listen to this. Oh, yes. Right, and this is no way to design sounds, but we're talking about sequence ambient here and building a track, okay? So think about that, all right? It's a great way to start. I like what I'm hearing already, okay? So I'm going to add a second layer onto this patch here, and I'm just gonna add a sine wave to kind of go over what I was talking about at the beginning, which is using like simple layers on your plucks. Okay, so let's go ahead and add a wavetable here, sine wave, and turn it down a little bit, and then we're gonna hit play again. See, now what you hear is a simple sine wave. Listen to, I've soloed it. Okay, underneath our existing sawtooth, and you get this. That kind of squelchiness of that sine wave underneath the sawtooth. And if I had an oscilloscope here, it would look kind of cool. It's a nice combination. They're meant to be together, the sawtooth and the sine wave, all right? So now what we're gonna do is come over to the mod matrix, and we're going to add LFO1 to our filter. Now here's a quick producer's tip for you. If you wanna know what your LFO is doing on the filter envelope, really quickly, just set the rate like high, like way higher than what you're gonna do, and you're just gonna listen to it. Now you can kind of get a quick overview of like what the minimum, what the maximum is. Right, because it's bouncing back and forth. So we say, okay, that's cool. Now what if I slow that down to 8/1? And now we're gonna get a really slow filter envelope that's gonna open up. See, now it's, the cutoff is raising. That's great. Now combine that with the delay and the reverb. Now, what are my delay and reverb settings? I will tell you right now. It is no secret that I use Valhalla delay on a send effect, dotted eighth notes, 100% mix because it's on send, and the feedback is at 64%. Just a little bit of modulation and some EQ. Okay, that's it. All right, and then my reverb is the Valhalla room reverb. with 100% mix, 55 seconds of decay time, and some considerations here as far as the EQ and the modulation goes. So just like that. Excellent. Okay, now how do we record these notes? I'm just gonna rename this Simple Seek. All right, that's our simple sequence. I'm gonna rename the track underneath it Uke for Euclidean. And now I know that I can get notes from simple sequence if I just record it on a separate lane. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come right over here and set the in as simple seek and turn on post effects and hit the record button. And let's just record like 2 bars of this. All right, so here we go, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's enough right there. Okay, so now we're gonna turn this off. We can go ahead and turn the simple seek off. And now we can dive in here and just say, okay, well, let's shorten this up to 2 bars. Let's click on it. And we're gonna open it up, and then we're just going to crop it to this length. So I'm gonna select all, quantize it, and I'm gonna crop the clip like that. And now let's look at the velocities. The velocities I could have set in the Euclidean sequencer, but instead I'm just gonna select them all and do this internal on Ableton, and we're gonna randomize the velocities, all right? So now what we can do is we say, all right, cool. We have a perfect loop here, and I'm just gonna drag this back over to our original track. Oops, did we not drag the whole thing? Okay, there we go. And we're gonna loop it as long as we want. Now it's a perfect like 2-bar loop, and we have it here. And I'm just going to make sure that that's not playing, and I'm gonna hit play. There we go. So we have a perfect 2-bar loop that's sort of the basis of our sequence. And we can fade that in or whatever, but that's step 1. Okay? And immediately your mind sort of goes like, okay, what could I add on top of this? Let's talk about that. All right, so let's go back to our syllabus. So I just showed you simple sequences bring great results, especially with delay. Showed you all that. Simple waveforms are combinations of 2 waveforms to create good patches and proper plucks. I did that. The proper use of filtering and filter envelopes, we went over that. Now let's layer the sequences by octave range and frequency, okay? So we could talk about a couple different ways to do this. We could layer this with a deep bass underneath it. I think I wanna do that. But what I also wanna do is add a 16-bar sequence on top of this one, okay? So I'm going to add another instance of Uke Pro here. And then we're gonna make this go a little faster. So the other one went at 8th notes. Now we're gonna move this one at 16th notes. So I'm gonna hit the sequencer here, and I'm gonna set it to 8 events and 8 steps. And then I'm going to set the scale properly, and I'm gonna set it to D minor, which is what we're working in. And then I'm gonna put all of these notes here on just D, all right? So then we're gonna take some of the notes and we're gonna add them as like little steps, okay? Now, I think let's just go to the D3. We can try D3 or D4. It doesn't really matter because we can change the octave range inside of Euclidean Pro. And then I'm going to say, all right, I'm just going to pick 2 steps and bring those out. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to attach a synthesizer to this. Let's use Serum here. All right. So we're switching up synthesizers. And what I'm going to do is just take this amp envelope and just tie it down, like kind of take the sustain all the way out instantly. And then I'm going to turn on the filter and tie this amp envelope to the filter. And then it comes in as bipolar. So I'm gonna hit Shift, Alt, click, and it's gonna make it unipolar. And then I'm gonna lower the amount down, and I'm going to hit play. All right, so let's see here what happens. All right, now what we didn't do is we didn't set this to 16th notes. Now it's gonna run it twice as fast as our original sequence, and listen what's gonna happen. Oh yeah. Perfect. All right. So what we've done is back on the Euclidean, so you can see this, we've set a sequence that starts at D and it only lets out 2 notes. So we have an extra G here and an extra A, but at the same time, because it's twice as fast, you kind of get that effect. Like you hear both 2 things at the same time. I like that. All right. Let's put this aside for a second and let's start playing with the filter. So now we can go. Excellent, all right? So we can tie an LFO to that the same way we do with the other one. Okay, so we can tie LFO1 to here, and then we can say LFO1 is gonna be, the mode is off, and we're gonna set this to like 16 bars, all right? And envelope 1 here is our filter envelope. Remember I talked about that when we were using Dean 3. So that's how far the filter is moving every single time you get a new note. But our overall filter arc is coming from down here. I like this. Watch what happens when I add reverb and delay. You ready to go to space? Here we go. Yes. Perfect. That's what I'm talking about. Gorgeous. All right, now let's ground ourselves. Okay, so we've taken flight here, so to say. All right, now let's ground ourselves. I'm gonna put a bass note underneath it, a simple three note sequence underneath it, maybe 4, and you're gonna hear this thing comes to life. All right, so here we go. So we're gonna initialize the patch. We're gonna turn the filter down, and we're going to just hit play. Let's just hit play. I mean, we might as well, right? This is signs of life. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna hit play, and we're going to listen to what happens when we ground ourselves with a nice, deep, filtered sawtooth bass. You want there, but either way, the fact remains is that once you introduce a lower frequency element that's filtered, it starts filling out that emotional part of the frequency spectrum known as the lower octaves or the lower frequencies, right? So that gets me every time. That's it. I'm jamming. Oh my gosh. All right. So we can do 2 different lines there. Like, let's just draw these in. Let's draw these in because we're having fun and that's what this is all about. It's supposed to be fun, guys. All right. So here we go. We're going to put a MIDI clip in here and I'm going to get this ukulele sequencer out of the way. I'm going to set my fixed grid to 1 bar and then I'm going to draw in this note and we're going to make it 2 bars long. We're going to zoom in here. Let's get our scale set and go like this and then we'll go like that and then there we go, like that. So now let's go ahead and select this and we're going to just make this an 8-bar bass line. Okay. So there we go. Open a little bit too much. There we go. Just subtle adjustments, guys. Just subtle adjustments can go a long way. All right, cool. So now we have our bass line set. Sounds really nice. We also have this one playing live, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with that. All right. Because we have our bass line in there, that's it right there. Nice. Okay, so now we have a foundation set and we have 2 layers, all right? But you can hear with the combination of the reverb, what pad, right? The pad isn't even there. but the amount of notes that are going into the reverb tank is creating this gorgeous, gorgeous atmosphere and vibe. All right. So now here's where it gets tricky. How do you take this to the next level? All right. You can do a bunch of different things here. We could go randomized sequences. We could introduce MIDI news. We could go all kinds of different directions with it, right? But let's just keep it simple. All right. Let's keep it simple today. I'm gonna build another sequence here. And this will be our third sequence, official sequence. And we're gonna do something like this. So we're gonna go like this, and then we're gonna kind of play with the octave range here. So we're gonna go back to Serum, and we're going to add Serum here. Now this, again, this is where it could get really tricky because you're trying to introduce something that's really edgy and cool without like going overboard. All right, so I'm going to randomize this and hopefully get something that comes up that sounds kind of like what we want. And we're going to lower the sustain down, turn on the filter again, and let's just carefully go about this. Here we go. That could be cool, listen. See, because it's like reaching towards other notes and then it's being delayed through the ping pong delay. It's almost like you're getting a symphony outside of the actual sequence. It's so beautiful what it does to your mind. And then you can randomize this over and over and over again and get different results every single time. The same way you do in reverb. Incredible. I love that so much that I'm gonna lay it down now. So let's just call this random sequence, randomize seek, and then we're gonna go over something else. We're gonna go over some FM stuff to make this even more interesting. All right, so let's go here and we're gonna set this to random seek, and then I'm gonna hit the record red button here. And now we're going to just let this play and see how far we can go with it. So here we go. We're gonna hit record. Let it go twice. So we changed it at least 4 different times, which is perfect. All right, I love that. So let's go back and we'll line it up and we'll see what we got here. Okay, cool. It looks like we got 2 random notes that happened at the beginning there. And let's go ahead and just add a note here. All right, and we'll turn off the input here and see if that kind of lines up and aligns with what we want to accomplish here. All right, so let's go like this. And then what we're gonna do is now we've randomized the velocities. You saw that I did that, but what we can do is randomize even more. So just go in here, select this and randomize the velocities. Now we got a bunch of random velocities happening, and that looks good. Like I'm okay with that, all right? So now let's set it at a perfect 16. Let's just go 16 bars, boom, like this. And we're gonna go 16 bars exactly, make it a loop. And now what we have is we have the 16 bar loop, all right? Let's actually make our loop like that and crop it like this. There we go. Just like that. And now we'll make it a loop. That's what we want. All right, there we go. So now we have it playing here. And what we can do is come back over to Serum and have a sound design moment. All right. So FM synthesis is one of my favorite things to do to the pluck I love it so much. All right. So the way I can easily explain FM, it's frequency modulation. So what we're going to do is we're going to modulate the frequency of oscillator A with oscillator B. And the way we're going to do that is using Serum's way of FM. Every FM seems different to me. Like there's the traditional way and then there's like this new modern way. I don't know. It doesn't really matter as long as you understand what is happening. So FM is coming from B. And what is B? B is now I've taken the level all the way down of the oscillator. That's the operator, the carrier and the operator. So I've taken the level all the way down of the affecting oscillator. I'm just going to say that, the affecting oscillator. And I'm going to turn this up. Now what you can do is, so this, it's going to modulate the frequency based on whatever waveform you have over here. You can go as crazy as you want. We could go spectral and put like a monster wavetable in here. You know what I'm saying? And start moving that wavetable around. Now listen to what's going to happen when I hit play. You can hear that little touch of like, it's modulating the original sawtooth in a really cool and unique way. And that's what I love about frequency modulation. So now I'm gonna just we can go like this and we can spread it out. Shift, Alt, click, and it becomes bipolar, okay? And now I can tie that to like, I don't know, maybe like 4 bars. So now it's moving around and we can take the cutoff. All right, we can set this as a and then we can take a second LFO and take that down to 16 bars and do the same thing that we did there. Gorgeous. Now you can do this as far as you want, right? You can take this, see like the more that you input, what do they call this? The spectral, the warping mode. The more that you do, the more distorted that it gets. However, you can change the octave range here of your operator. What I love about that, it adds harmonics and it adds grit and it adds texture to your existing pluck. And that's what's so cool about it, all right? So FM, think about that in your plucks too. We go over this with pads, but plucks, FM please, all day long. Now listen. Brilliant. That sounds so great. We can turn that filter envelope down. Because it adds that little element of like textural surprise to our ears, right? It's like, ooh, what is that? It's really nice. That's what it is. I love this. All right, let's go back to our syllabus. So, using sequences as textural elements, we just went over that with the FM. Layering sequences by octave range and frequency, proper use of filtering, simple waveforms, combination of 2 waveforms. The last thing is we want to bring this down and then build it back up, okay? Now we can do that by freezing some of the layers if we want, okay? So with this one, let's call this the 16 note sequence, all right? And obviously I'm not saving these, but we can save that in the future. So here we go. We're going to save this as 16 note sequence. And I'm going to record this really quickly onto this lane from there. Sounds good. You can hear as those filters open up. Oh, it's so gorgeous. It really opens up other possibilities in your mind. Where can I take this? How far? And then you start getting into the mixing stage already, but we're building up a track here. You know, this is how it works. So here we go. We're going to just kind of chop this down. Let's make it 2 bars. All right. And we're going to go over here and crop clip. There we go. And we're going to loop it as a 4-bar loop. And now we have a beautiful sequence that we can move anywhere we like. We're going to move it over to the 16 bar. Now, what we can do here is we could chop these and just kind of like say, all right, copy over and then do this, and then we can do like that, and then you could even have like this sequence can ring through that, and then this bass line, we can control E here and bring this back, and then the come at the end. I'm just sort of doing like a simple arrangement here, but it makes kind of sense. Like if you wanted to take this down in the middle and just have two, you know what I mean? And do something else with the bass here, like just boom, and do something really simple, and then bringing it back at the end. All right. That's right. Cool. Let's add one more sequence just for an extra touch here. I really want to just kind of drive this home with like one other thing. And for that, I'm going to use Vital. I do this because I love to. I do this because I can. It is such a great tool to use when you want something that's really kind of unexpected. So let's go over here and pick something from Upcoming Anomaly 2, let's say the Power of 1. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lower the LFO level here on this LFO, and then we're going to hit play on the track. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow. Oh my God. Wow. Let's. There we go. Yes. Oh my God, that's so good. All right, here. So let's go ahead and let's. All right, cool. So let's change the color of this to like blue, and then there we go. Playing with D2, we're gonna go 8 bars, draw mode, boom, like this, and then extend that all the way out, and then we're gonna extend some of these sequences out. Maybe just a bass line and our original sequence. There we go. Okay, so let's drive it home. Here we go. 5, 6, 7, 8. Nice. Now what's going on here in Vital? Let me show you this. We have an LFO that's driving the entire sequence. We also have a couple different random modulators that are choosing between different notes. These ones are at this octave range, and these ones over here. Oh, that's brilliant. I love it. Let's add some more reverb. Oh my God. It's another level. I love it. Oh my goodness. Yes. Wow. That's what I'm talking about, guys. All right, let's bring this home. Let's just drive it right home. When this ends, you can really kind of feel it all coming together, right? The power of 1. That was where we ended. I love it. Oh my goodness. All right, let's go back to our syllabus. Sequence, space, ambient, guys. Simple sequences bring great results, especially with delay. Using simple waveforms or combinations of 2 waveforms, proper use of filtering and filter envelopes, layering sequences by octave range. Think about the entire frequency spectrum here. Using sequences as textual elements themselves. Okay? And the last but not least, building up tension by stripping away layers and bringing them back. Wow. Oh my goodness. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this. You got that? You got that syllabus right there? I'm gonna pull off the screen. Oh my gosh. Wow. My name is Chris from Signs of Life. If you have any questions or thoughts about how to make sequence ambient, make sure to leave them down in the comments below. I'm gonna be down there kicking it with y'all right after this. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for supporting this channel, liking and subscribing. Truly appreciate it. Go out there and make some good sequenced space ambient. I dare you. You guys have the tools now. As always, keep your heads in the clouds and your feet planted firmly on the ground. My name is Chris from Science of Life, and I will